So,
Okay.
can I just come back on that? I think part of the problem last time is that there's a disconnect between where necessarily what we were trying. You know, at one point, I'm not having a go at any of the colleges, but at Cornwall College, there were over 250 people enrolled on the hairdressing course. It's like Cornwall doesn't need 250 hairdressers, and it's about where do we. What actually some of these people need is someone to buy them an alarm clock and go and knock on their door and get them up of a morning, or a suit to wear to go to work. And I know what my time at CPR Regeneration, the programmes that were through the European Social Fund that actually do those sorts of things is what work. You have to engage with the individual in their world, in their zone. So that's the Pencourt or wherever it is, you have to go there. And the question tonight is it right? And it's not. The balance between where we're spending the money isn't right. We're doing a lot more things that may work and may develop things, and we're missing out on the things where the actual people in Cornwall today need the help.
I was waiting
today.
for the old hairdresser myth to come up, and it's come up. There are very few unemployed hairdressers in Cornwall. There are quite a few unemployed engineers. You know, there are quite a few unemployed people doing the high-level skills. I know many people who trained as hairdressers are now principal of colleges, running large businesses, teaching on higher education. I'm afraid, although I think I'd agree with you that we want to train people for where their work is and what's relevant, a lot of people choose what they want to do based on interest and ability and don't have a simple say that there's a labour market gap, I'm going for it. I doubt if your kids will go down that particular route either. So it's more complex than that, and I'm sorry to hear that old sort of Daily Mail editorial again.
Is the securing of the PSO for the airport crucial to the future prosperity of Cornwall?
Did everybody hear that one? Is the PSO, the public service obligation for Newquay Airport, which was announced today or yesterday, is that crucial to the prosperity of Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly? Oliver?
I was longing for this question. I mean, I think a little history lesson. If you go back 5 years to when the master plan came out for Newquay Airport, it was predicated on the passenger numbers rising from 450,000 then to, if I remember rightly, 750,000 by 2015. And in fact, the economic portfolio holder at Cornwall County Council in 2009, 2010, told me that he expected it to be viable and sold to the private sector by 2013. Present numbers, I haven't seen them for this month, but for last month were 177,000. So we've lost 2/3 of our passengers, and yet we seem to think that the Newquay Airport is an utterly vital part of our transport infrastructure. And I would like to propose to you that the £20 subsidy that we provide to every single passenger in and out of the airport, that's £20 each way. So if you're a family of 4 going to your second home in Brittany, flying from Newquay Airport,
Can you do that?
You will, I have no idea. You will receive a bonus of £160 to do it. That it may not be the best way of looking at the future. I don't doubt that the existence of an airport is important. What I worry about is the amount of attention we give to trying to find a way of expanding it when it's quite clear that it's been in contraction for 5 years. And the subsidy which we provide to it could be so better used elsewhere. So that should start things going.
Okay, Peter.
The answer is yes. I mean, a lot of the problems you've raised around here is, just look at Cornwall. There is no industry in Cornwall. China Clay's down to 1,000 people. Ginsters is probably the biggest employer down here, but there is no, just look at the hinterland, there's no industry. And a lot of the industry will drive jobs, will drive future prosperity, employment, hairdressers, engineers, you name it. So we've got to do it. The 3 biggest users of the airport, and still are us, Pendennis and Secor. Not because we fly all over the place, it's because customers come to us, key suppliers come to us, crew changes come to us. You don't have an airport, I guarantee Pendennis won't be here, we'll be a lot smaller and Secor will be somewhere else. So, you want industry, you want jobs, you want an airport.
Okay. Anybody else anything to add to that?
Well, I think it's absolutely vital. And I mean, actually, Oliver, it's a bit unfair to say that the passenger numbers have come down. I mean, that coincided with the... No, they have come down, but that's across the country. And it's not just Newquay. It coincided with the economic recession. I mean, we were climbing numbers at that point. And we've got...
We were predicting 1.4 million passengers by 2030.
Let's be realistic. But you've never really wanted the airport in the first place. So, you know, I think that we had to fight for the airport. We need to keep that airport. I mean, it's critical to the Isles of Scilly as well. And, you know, if we're going to market ourselves as a viable place to do business, we need that airport.
Andrew, 30 seconds from the whole of the Isles of Scilly economy and the importance of...
Well, thank you. I think Oliver's right in that the airport today is not that we would wish it to be in 5 years' time. But I'm afraid I do fall on the airport. Yes, we need an airport in Cornwall. And it's not just an airport, it's an aero hub. So there's another opportunity there for all sorts of other businesses to grow up. But of course, you need an airport for that. And I would imagine if we're successful in our aspirations that we've talked about this evening, and all these businesses are going to grow and flourish, then the airport will have sustainable passenger numbers. When? 5 years, 10 years? I don't know. But yes, we need one.
Okay. Right, I'm going to move on. I'm going to get two more questions in, and then we've got 30 seconds on each one. Jeff Greaves. Jeff here?
Jeff Greaves from Merlin Cinemas. Could a reported £35 million have been better spent than on a field, a pond, an uninteresting museum, a cafe and some more half-empty shops, which is otherwise known as Heartlands?
A heartless question, indeed. Let's all have 30 seconds on it. David, Heartlands.
I think the implication is that it could have been, and I was just trying to find, if you think you're being rude about it, I was trying to find the Western Morning News description of it, which may be very, very unfair, but if we can't sell it with our regional newspaper, then it's not going to work. But the mining experience was authentically wet and noisy without telling much of the story. The pool is wide and pointless, presumably topped up with sulfuric acid every day to ensure nothing living grows in it or obscures your view of tons of pebbles. The rest is as bleak as before. For £35 million, it's still a complete flop, and so it goes on and on. So the only thing is, if part of it's a failure, we have other institutions like the Maritime Museum, like Eden, like Tate St Ives, that I'm not using the term disparagingly, that were trophy institutions, and there was probably a lot of residual knowledge there that could have been shared. And some of these things didn't work in the early days either, and they're more successful now. But I've got an awful feeling about this, that the kind of local and external view of it is going to make it a self-fulfilling prophecy that it's going to fail.
Chris.
There was another project in the same area at the same time called the Spiris Project, which was about linking health and rebuilding Carnbray Leisure Centre and connecting it to the health practice. That one didn't go ahead, and this one did. This one seems to lack a basic fundamental business case that drives it forward, and whatever the destination, it has to be run in a business-like manner. This one hasn't. We've got to get in and work out some way of doing that and use what's there, because otherwise it will be a waste of money.
Okay.
Yeah,
go for it, yeah.
I think it's really important that we should remember that we do ask people to take risks, and when you take risks, you make mistakes. And this was probably a mistake. So I'm being nice. But you know, we don't want to be too condemnatory about this. The important thing is two important things. One is learn our lessons from this, and two is make sure we don't throw good money after bad. So if we can't find a solution to this quickly, it probably ought to go.
The thing which is ringing in my head on a bigger and an even bigger scale was the dome, the Millennium Dome, which was absolutely castigated and hated for the first 2 years until somebody with a proper business plan got their hands on it and has now turned it into one of London's massively talked about and successful venues for big gigs and tennis tournaments and loads of things. So I don't know whether, Andrew, the Heartlands can be got hold of by somebody entrepreneurial?
Well, yeah, I mean, fools and bairns, you could say, because it's very early days. And there's another example closer to home, which was, shall we say, embarrassing or not an immediate overnight success, and is now looking rather more optimistic, and that's the Wave Hub. That's for 10 years that didn't do very much, and now it's looking like it's going to. So I'm a great believer in the market and market forces, but I do accept that the market isn't perfect and doesn't work. And it's possible that we've heard about Camborne Pool Red Ruth, and I was shocked by those food bank figures. It's possible the market wouldn't have acted to regenerate that area, and so there had to be another solution. That was a public solution. Clearly it hasn't worked in the short term, but that's not to say it might not work in the medium to longer term. There's a new road going through there. There's an innovation centre next door. So I think, Chris's point about getting a compelling business plan and making it work is a sensible way forward.
Okay. I'm going to move on to the last question, unless there's any burning hands up on that one, which is from...
I just like this. Could I just say something? Just as being someone who was involved with this, it was actually delivered in the wake of World Heritage Site status being awarded to Camborne Pool Red Ruth, and it was part of that whole concept. And it was predicated on visitor numbers to the World Heritage Site of about 80 to 100,000 people every year. That was the part of the business case. And it was also actually in the business case that we would have it in a sort of village concept with live-work hubs, employment, a whole vital wrap around it, which hasn't actually transpired. I think that's the issue.
And could that still happen?
I would hope so.
The houses are going up around it.
So
They have to give, they hit their visitor number targets last year. Free to enter attraction, it's difficult to make money, and yes, the business case was wrong, but they are listening, they've stripped it right back. I think, you just have to
Okay,
take time.
gentlemen,
The
about that.
lottery project, which comes with all sorts of, the European money comes with constraints. Look at
Okay.
the lottery.